Hello, my name is Rita Rosenbach. I am the author of the book Bringing Up a Bilingual Child and the founder of the website Multilingual parenting.com. I'm also the founder of this group, the Multilingual Parenting Facebook group. Today I will be answering two questions that have been sent in. They are about choosing the language that you speak with your child and how to switch if necessary. And also, if there are any questions in the comments, I will be answering those as well. This live Q&A is the last for this year. I'm taking a break from the live casting for the end of the year, and I'll come back next year. Then these live sessions will be taking place on the Facebook page and not in the group anymore. So the first question is from Angelica. And Angelica has a daughter who is 15 months old. Angelica speaks Russian with her, and her husband speaks Polish. He is much away, so she doesn't get so much exposure to Polish. Together, Angelica and her husband speak English, and when they're all together, Angelica changes to speaking English with their daughter also. So she switches between Russian and English. Her question is that she doesn't know, and this is how she writes: I don't know how to communicate to my daughter when we are around my husband's family. I feel kind of weird being the only one talking Russian or English to her, but I really don't feel like speaking Polish to her just because I learned this language. So yes, Angelica does know Polish as well. Good thing for me would have been to know which language is the community language. What is the language that your daughter will be exposed to when she goes to school? So basically, which language will sooner or later become your daughter's majority language? If this is Polish, then I wouldn't worry too much about the Polish input, and I see no need for you to try to increase the Polish exposure. However, if this is not the case, if Polish is not the community language, then you may want to think about how to expose her more to your husband's language. This is by the by. Your concern is which language you should use with your husband's family. When you say you feel weird, both when you speak Russian and English, and you don't want to speak Polish. Well, you have to choose one language, and to me, if Russian is not the community language and you are the only person speaking Russian to your daughter, what I would recommend is to stick to Russian as much as possible. I know it does feel weird, and it may also be awkward in certain situations. If you feel that your husband's family doesn't want you to do that, then discuss it with them. Because this is different from one family to another. Certain families are very supportive of speaking the minority languages, while others feel instantly left out if any other language than the language they know is spoken with a child. So this is something you need to discuss with your parents-in-law. The same goes if in English, the only English exposure your daughter gets is when she hears the two of you speak English, and when you occasionally speak English to her, then you have the situation of passing on two minority languages, unless again English is the community language. So that's the big variable here, big important variable here, which I don't know. That's why it's difficult for me to give a more focused answer. if it doesn't feel natural at all to speak Polish, then don't. But again, you need to take the situation into account. However, you mentioned that you don't want to confuse your daughter by speaking 3 languages with her. She will not be confused, don't worry about that. Bilingual children are very sensitive about that there are many languages around, and especially if you're speaking Polish to her when your parents-in-law are present. This is a natural Polish-speaking situation, so don't worry about confusing. Small children do not get confused by being spoken to in several different languages. It's fine. I can't reiterate this enough times. It is harder for the adults than it is for the children. Children do not get confused. As long as you otherwise stick to one language when to speaking Russian with her most of the time, because I have the feeling that you do not live in a Russian environment, then that is the language that you need to emphasize to make sure that she learns it. If you want her to speak English as well, then you need to think about different ways of introducing more of the English exposure to her, unless it comes from the environment. To give you more information on that, I would need to have the exact background information. This is actually a very typical situation in similar cases that I have had for individual family language coaching, where parents have several languages to juggle with, and then need to find out what the best way to move forward to make sure that a child grows up learning all the languages. If you do have any further questions, even if you listen to a recording, Angelica, just put a comment here under the video, and I'll get back to it and continue my response to you. And the next question is from Jean. She lives in UK and she's got a daughter who is 14 months old. Jean, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I know there are different ways of pronouncing it, but apologies if it's not correct. So she speaks Swedish, or I'll correct myself, Jean is a Swedish speaker, and she has been singing and reading in Swedish, but she finds herself forgetting to speak Swedish with her. Again, in this case, the community language is English. There is no mention about the father's language, so I don't know, or whether Jean, if you're a single mum, because you mentioned that if you were to switch from English to Swedish, then your daughter wouldn't get much exposure to English. Your daughter will also start nursery around the age of 3, and you're worried that if you switch to Swedish, then she won't know much English when she has to start nursery. What I can say that if you want your daughter to learn Swedish, then now is the opportune time to switch to speaking to Swedish, establish the routine of always speaking Swedish to her. I understand from the little you write, I take it that you do not have many other opportunities of exposing her to the language, so you are the only source of it. And therefore, to me, it's, if your goal is, like you say, that she learns Swedish, then now is the time to start speaking Swedish with her. Especially when you write, and I quote, "I myself still wish my mum had taught me her native language as I grew up, and I'd hate for my daughter to say the same when she's an adult. Even more so, I understand your feelings. I've heard this many times from other adults who have grown up monolingual and haven't learned the family languages when they were small. Since you live in the UK, your daughter will learn English. And even if she were not to be fluent in English when she starts nursery about the age of 3, she will, immersed in it, she will pick it up in very, very quickly. And it is not like, even if you were to switch to Swedish, it's not like she will not hear any English at all. You live in the UK, so inevitably she will also hear English, and her English will develop, even though you were to switch to Swedish. I will in the comments here, I will put 2 links about 2 articles. The first one is to how to remember to speak the minority language, because that is in many cases something that parents struggle with. And then I will also put another link in when you say how to switch and how to do this. So since you've been speaking mainly English now, how to switch to speaking Swedish. One great thing is to introduce toys that are monolingually, in your case, Swedish. I've written an article about that, how to use toys to introduce a language naturally. And once you kind of come across or pass the threshold of speaking more, then it is easier to gradually switch to only speaking Swedish. So start by using Swedish in certain scenarios, or for example every morning, and so you repeat the same things over and over again, and so your daughter and do it in situations where it's obvious from your actions what you're saying. So in the morning when you put clothes on, when you eat something, then you can say what you're doing in Swedish, so which means that you're still communicating in a way that your daughter understands, although you're using Swedish, but your actions are telling what you are explaining, what you're saying. And then, like in the article that I just pasted there, introduce some Swedish speaking toys. Make them always speak Swedish. You can act in the article I explain how you can act as the translator to begin with, and this is a good way of bringing in a language to the home. Your daughter will be fine with it as long as she's at the age where she will accept this change. I did this change when my daughter was 5, and I struggled. I didn't know then what I know now, and I did it over several months, and finally it was the kitten called Pricken who came to our rescue, because the kitten spoke only Swedish, and that's why that became an acceptable language in our home and between my daughter and myself. And also, since you have already sung Swedish and then read Swedish, it is not a totally new language to your daughter. So it's not like there's something absolutely new that she's never heard before. So that's a really good thing that you already started a little bit with the singing and the reading. But like I said earlier on, if you want your daughter to learn Swedish, and if you want to avoid the situation that like you were in, where you were unhappy that your mom had not passed on her native language to you, then the time is now. Make sure that you switch to Swedish more and more, so you have an established Swedish routine with your daughter. Once she goes to nursery and will be immersed in English the whole of the day, it is a lot more difficult to do that switch at that point. Trust me, your daughter will be fine going into nursery. She will still know some English. Because you live in the UK, and the nurseries and the professionals, go there, speak with them in advance if you feel concerned about it. Most of them are very professional. They know how to handle these situations, and as I said, at that age, children can play even without languages. They play with each other, and through play and through the actions and through observing each other, they pick up languages extremely quickly. So that's not my daughter. I can tell you the story about my daughter, who, when we moved to the UK, she was 6 and she didn't know any English, and she went straight to school. And of course, there are different personalities. I can't say that this will happen to everyone. She was absolutely fine, thanks to a school that embraced her and invited her in, although it took about 3 weeks and she didn't have a clue what was happening at school. After that, she was able to tell me a little bit more about what happened. So that's, and she was 6. As a 3-year-old, they're even more open, and it goes even quicker. So be there for your daughter, and speak to the professionals at the nursery, and I'm sure they will be just fine. But the time for you to start speaking Swedish with your daughter is now. So those are the 2 questions that I am answering today. If there are no other questions in the comments, I will finish this session. And as I said, this is the last one for this year. I wish you all a fantastic holiday season, in whichever way you're celebrating. And most of all, I hope that next year will be a fantastic year for you all. See you in 2018, and then these sessions will move to the Facebook page, Multilingual Parenting Facebook page. But as always, I will put out announcements in advance. Thank you very much for listening, and all the best to all of you. Keep speaking. Bye.